Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Okay. Alrighty. About that time. Hello. You guys all here for INM 220? Yeah. If you're not sure, then you are. Yeah, you guys are in the interactive media program, yeah? Cool, cool, very good. Yeah, I see a lot of new faces. I don't think I've had a lot of you guys before, I don't think. You'll see me a lot. My name is Tim, and I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about web development. So for today, I want to introduce you to the tools that we'll be using. We'll get things set up a little bit. We will do a bit of an exercise today that will help me get familiar with where you guys are at right now, how much you've learned, and what you're comfortable with. And I will tell you a little bit about myself, why I'm qualified to teach you anything, which I think you should know about, right? You should know a little bit about your profs and people who are here to instruct you. So I'll give you a bit of my background. I'm very involved in the industry that we work in. I'm a part-time prof here. My real job is that I run a company called Oddly Studios, which I started in 2007, and I am actually a graduate, basically, of your program. Before your program, there was another one called Digital Media Arts, and that's the one that I took. So I got out around 2001, somewhere around there. And so I would like to start off with just a little bit of what the environment is like today in the industry and what you can expect. Because I think it's important to not just know how to build things, but it's the why of building things that is even more valuable. And you'll see from what I tell you that as time goes on, you know, it's becoming harder to be like just a developer or just a designer. The reason why is because everything has accelerated. Everything is happening much faster. And there's a lot of need for people who can sort of think outside of their immediate role because companies need to be much more agile. So when I graduated, again, I think it was 2001. It's all a blur at this point. At graduation time, I was in probably the same position that I expect you will be. Not knowing what the hell I'm going to do next. It's ironic, right? I mean, you guys are in second semester. You're probably thinking, oh man, by fourth semester, I will definitely know exactly what I want to do, and that's not true. That really isn't true. Because this is a very diverse program. You're going to learn a lot of things, and you will probably like a lot of them. You'll do some photography. You'll do graphic design. You'll do programming with myself and a couple of the other profs. And from all of this, you are going to find some things you don't like about each of those things and some things that you love. So this can pose a few challenges by the time you are in the final semester and you're thinking of getting out in the industry, and that's kind of where I was in. So the first job that I got, I would say I was pretty lucky to get it, to be honest with you, because, man, the other fact of life is that going to the end of fourth semester, I was broke. No money, right? Like the student loans, I foolishly spent it on pizza in the cafeteria and stuff like this. So by the fourth semester, I was like, this is getting real now. I've only got a little bit of money and I've got to get working like pretty fast. And the money that I did have remaining, I spent on a conference. There's a pretty well-known technology and design conference that originated here in Toronto. It's called the FITC. Have you guys heard of this? It's very cool. It's been around a long time. And it started here in Toronto, and it's in a few other Canadian cities. And by now, it's also expanded. It's in Amsterdam and Tokyo, and it's all around the world that they do this. And it's basically a few days when a lot of developers and creative people and designers and so forth all come together, and there's presentations and after parties and so forth. And you know, you can volunteer to get in, you know, for free basically, and do a bit of volunteer work. I didn't really want to do that because I wanted to get the most out of it. Volunteering is good, but again, like, I risked a little bit because I had like $800 left in my account, and it was like I could pay rent or I could go to the conference and then hope I came up with something before you know, the next rent came due. And so I risked, and I blew the money on the conference. So I was, you know, really in a position where I was like, I got to get working. So the program coordinator, tip number one, I would give you, the program coordinator gave me a very, very vague kind of lead. She said, I met some guy at some event who said he might need someone for something. I was like, sounds good. I'm your boy, you know. And I really had just kind of one project that I was really happy with, which had been, I had done it for my development course, and it was myself and a half dozen other students that had made an online magazine. I didn't even have a portfolio site. Ironically, you know, I had made a few bucks by building portfolio sites for others while I was in school, but that made me so busy that I didn't have my own portfolio. So I had my one link to the magazine, and I sent that off. Now, I will tell you, that wound up being maybe the best thing, because what I come to understand afterwards is that creative directors, art directors, technology directors, they see a million portfolios, you know? That has kind of been the standard. Like, you make your portfolio, you send that off. I mean, that's kind of coming from the advertising world, where everybody makes their book, is what they call it. And it's just standard to do. And it happens in animation, you know, everybody makes their reel and sends it off. And, you know, for what we do, the portfolio has been the thing. But put yourself in the shoes of that person, and you've just gotten, you know, the 400th portfolio across your desk. They're human. And after a while, they start tuning that stuff out. Even something really good comes across their desk, they're also very, very busy, right? And a lot of portfolios, they don't really have a lot for somebody to do. They have nice things to look at. They have well-written descriptions and nice images and so forth. But what can you actually do on there? Not a lot. Now, what I sent off didn't say anything about me, but it was full of things to do. You know, you could read the articles, you could listen to interviews we had taped with local musicians and so forth. You could rate the recipes that were contributed and so forth. There was a lot going on in an online magazine. And, you know, around 2001, online magazines are not so common. They're very common now. But the point being, it got more attention. It was different. And it didn't have to say anything about me or what I could do. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? You know? And the same is true today, I will tell you. As time went on, I became the person doing the hiring at that company. But it didn't start that way, that's for sure, when I came in for that interview. So I got in, I sent my link off, and I felt ridiculous because my email was so small. It was just like, hi, I heard about you from Michelle Lekic, my program coordinator. Here's the link. Now that may seem ridiculous, right? We feel like we need a cover letter. We need to introduce and our things like this. But again, those people are freaking busy. They also spend a lot of time on social media where everything is small. Like a tweet, you know, 140 characters. So small is not bad, as long as there's something to do. And a link? Well, now you've invited them and they've engaged. Much, much more powerful than trying to flood them with a convincing argument. You're not a lawyer. You don't have to convince a jury of your ability. You know, you got to show them something, let them do something. So by luck, that's what I wound up doing. And I got an email back, and it said, I'm in San Francisco right now, and I will be in Toronto on Wednesday. We should talk. That's all it said. But I saw San Francisco, and I was like, I hear it's warm there. I'm freezing my ass off in Toronto. I wouldn't mind going to San Francisco. So I was pretty stoked about that. And so I headed down to meet whoever it was at the time that was scheduled. And, my perception of the industry was so very wrong. Everything I knew was all like some fantasy in my head because I'd never worked in this industry. I didn't know anybody who did. And I pictured, a bunch of programmer type of dudes sitting around in a dim room with blinky servers and things like this. And then I went in and it's this beautiful manicured building with big windows and bright sunlight and even some people with ties walking around and attractive looking people. And I was like, I don't belong here. This is not my people. I was so very unprepared and nervous right away. But fortunately, I met a super cool guy. His name is Dave Stubbs. I hope I'll introduce you to him because I still am always in contact with him. He was the creative director. It was an agency, an interactive agency. So these guys will do a lot of work for brand companies. They will, whenever a new product is coming out or something like that, you've got your standard medias, television, radio, and that kind of thing. But most companies want to make a splash online as well. And so we would do a lot of that kind of work. Coming in there was like a really big education for me. I was in there for 3 years, and I made my way from a 3-day contract masking images in Photoshop to director of technology for all of Toronto and another team in Detroit. That's crazy, right? I'm just a dude. Like, I didn't have no special abilities or anything like that. But, I had risked a lot, as I've mentioned. Like, just being in school was a big risk for me. And then, risking my dough, spending my last of my money on that conference. Well, when I got into the interview, I'll tell you what happens in an interview. In the beginning, you have rehearsed what you're going to say. You've got all of your good stuff ready to go, right? So that happened. That's about the first 3 minutes. After that, you sort of run out of the good stuff you want to talk about. It's not like you've been doing this for 40 years, you know what I mean? So you hit the end of that. And what happens is that people feel like they need to keep talking because silence is awkward. I don't deal well with silence. Perhaps you can tell already. And so what happens is that people keep talking and they start pointing out the things first that they weren't all that happy with what they've showed you. And then if they keep going, they start talking about what they hate about their own work. And before you know it, they've convinced that interviewer that, yes, they are not the right person for this. You know what I mean? And I saw this happen again and again. A good interviewer will let it happen. They're a good interviewer is a lot like a cop. They'll shut their mouth because they'll know you are nervous and you will spill everything if they just let you. So I guess that would be my second big tip, is that if you feel that's starting to happen, you need something else to deflect to. True, you may not have a lot of stuff of your own, but in my head, well, Dave, he asked me, what do you think is cool? And immediately I thought of the things I had seen at that conference that I'd been to. And I said, oh, man, well, do you know these guys from a company called Big Spaceship? And Dave was like, hell yes, oh man, okay, what do you know about them? And I was like, well, I talked to this guy at the conference. I was just hanging around after their presentation and like it really blew my mind what they showed me. And he said, well, what blew your mind about it? And I was like, it changed all of my thinking about what a website is. So what I had seen from those guys was a website they had done for the first, actually there's another sequel out right now. Do you know Underworld? Do you know those movies? I mean, I like them. But like, it's fairly typical stuff. It's like vampires, werewolves, fighting a secret war kind of thing. So like way back around 2000, 2001, a company called Big Spaceship made a site for that movie franchise. And even back then, the site was keeping track of the visitors. So people who are visiting at the site could register to be on the side of either the werewolves or the vampires. And depending on the traffic that was arriving at the site would change. They also had an online game that you could participate in. And it was very basic, but you could fight against, the other side. So if you came to the site that day and you saw that it looked all like dark and emo shit, they're like, the vampires are winning. And if you're on the Lycan side, you want to get in the game and like slash some people, because the more that you did it, the more the site, which was representing who was winning, would change towards you'd start to see things update and change and look more like, hairy and teeth and bones and stuff like that to be the werewolves, right? So when I saw that, I was like, this is a site? You know what I mean? I'd never seen anything like that. It just totally changed my whole thinking. I wanted to know how they did it. I had no idea how they had done that. I couldn't even picture it. But man, that got my mouth talking with Dave there in the interview. Didn't know I'd be sitting in an interview after I talked to the guys from Big Spaceship. And he asked me a bunch of questions, which I subsequently, afterwards learned were to figure out if I was on the level or not. He asked me, did you meet this guy? Did you talk to a guy who organizes that conference? Well, what I found out afterwards is like, he knows all those guys. I guess that'd be the third tip. In what we do, everybody knows everybody, especially in Toronto. It's a microcosm. There's a very, very good chance the guy you're talking to knows the people that you're talking about. So if I was trying to do a bunch of name dropping and, appear like to be more than what I was, a junior, he would have smoked that out immediately. And it probably would have been the end of it. Maybe not, but it might have been. So after that, I did a bunch more interviews, a total of 6 interviews. Maybe that's tip number 4 is like, you practice different interview styles. Because what I came to know is that I'm talking to the creative director and he likes what he's hearing. But then I'm going to have to talk to somebody from human resources and they have to like what they're hearing. And because my creative director works for an American-based brand, then I'm going to have to talk to the brand manager out of Detroit. And because the company is located, its head office in San Francisco, I'm going to have to talk to the manager in San Francisco as well. And all of those people have to agree that, yeah, we should give this person a chance. Because the brand person wants to know that, I'm going to treat the brand right. The technical person is going to need to know that I know my stuff. The creative director is going to basically like my communication style, because it's such a big thing when you're working in a creative field. And those interviews are going to happen in different ways. Some of them might be panel interviews with a few people. Some of them will be a one-on-one. Some will be just over the phone. Some might be a video conference. So the ones on the phone, for instance, I feel like I didn't do too good in. Just because I never talk on the phone. I hate it. I turn my phone off a lot. So that was a big weakness for me. The one-on-one, the in-person ones, I felt like I did probably okay on. So, end of story, they offered me, after all that, I got a call and I'm like, yeah, it's happening. And they said, well, Tim, we've got something for you. I was like, yay. And they're like, we need you for 3 days to cut out some images in Photoshop. Do you think you could do that? And I was like, yay. Yes, I will do it, absolutely. You know, and again, later on what I discovered is like, they rarely, in our industry, they rarely offer you something like full-time position up front. Because, as I say, like when you work in a creative field, there's so many things that are important. There's got to be that fit, you know, where the team's got to mesh. And so they need to try you out. And the way that they usually will do it is with something like a part-time contract. Now, they may have every intention of hiring you, but they're probably not going to tell you that because they also want to see how do you react to that news. If you're like, screw you, man, I didn't do 2 years of school to get a 3-day contract, then they're like, nice knowing you, and that's it, right? So when I got in there, I said, well, if I only have 3 days here, I'm going to make the best use of it. I want to meet everybody. I want to see, you know, because if I'm not going to be here, then the next place I go to, I want to go in there knowing basically how this works. So I would do my work as fast as possible, and then I would make myself get up from my desk and go to somebody else's and be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, DVD menu? I can make buttons for that, you know, or whatever. I didn't care what it was. And I would say that people in the beginning were like, who the hell is this? You know, I was like up in their faces very politely, but I wasn't content to sit at my desk worried that someone's going to notice I have nothing to do. That is the worst. You don't let that happen. All right, so I'm going to fast forward a bit. Another time I will have more stories for you. But point being, my strategy worked pretty well, and I made my way up the ladder like pretty quickly. Like by 2 years, I was at the director level in that company on like top 5 global brands. So I'm happy to share how I did that. But by about 3 years, I was getting a little, I wanted to do other things. I had reached a point where I couldn't do the things I wanted to anymore. And so I left and I started my own company, and some of the work that we did in the beginning, we did work for Mattel, we did work for BMW, and so forth. A lot of this stuff came from reputation, from the time that I had worked in the agency. And people I had worked with started sending recommendations to myself. 3 weeks after I started the company, I hired another guy, whose name is Adam. And he was a student that I had met while I was working and kept in touch with. And we're still working together now. We work together every day in the company pretty much. And yeah, you'll get to know him as well. Because I want to kind of segue from there into how this class runs. I say you'll get to know Adam because it's not just me. It's like a little team of people that will be helping you out here. I'm handling everything, but I'm going to show you 2 pieces of software that make it possible for me to get other respected industry people to look in and give you a hand as well. So you'll find it's a little, you might find it a little bit different from some of your other classes. My class is a lesson-based curriculum, whereas you find a lot of your classes are project-based curriculum. What that means is that basically we're going to do these smaller examples all together, very collaboratively, and then you will learn to string them together in order to make a project. Whereas a lot of classes, the end product is more important than the process you followed, right? So as long as you get that project in sometime before end of semester, then you know that's what you get judged on. But I almost don't care what your end product is, compared to how you got there. And you'll see the tools show me how you got there. And the reason I say that is because when I started in the industry, it was very project-based. So as a developer, and I did a lot of work in Flash. Flash was a very hot technology at that time. Entire projects would go to a single developer. And in that time, you could become like the developer rock star kind of thing, where it's like you did the whole thing. And so as a developer, if you became that person, you make a lot of money and you could go anywhere you wanted to. And when I say these developers became rock stars, I'm not even kidding. I can show you videos from the conferences where like a guy like Joshua Davis would get up on stage and people are like, yeah! They weren't like what people pictured developers to be. Joshua Davis is like covered in tattoos all over, and he would get up on stage in like ripped jeans and like skateboard off the stage and stuff like that and swear a lot. And it's because these, we were all self-taught dudes basically. And he had built, for instance, the site for Barney's, not the purple dinosaur. Barney's like the high-end retail kind of thing. And he'd done it all himself inside of a week. This is how, people became big rock stars at that time. But today, that has gone away. And it's actually very discouraged to be that guy. The reason why is because for a company, if everything you have is in the head of one guy, you've got a real problem. Because, number one, he's going to take a lot of money from you. Because because you can't lose him now. Everything about your site or your software, your application's in the head of one guy, you're in real trouble. But things happen. What if that guy gets sick? My God, what if he wants to take a vacation at some point? He can't. So he's a rock star, but like a rock star, there's no day off kind of thing. So with the end of Flash as a technology kind of went away, the environment changed. And today it isn't like that at all. And the companies themselves won't let it be like that. They probably never will again. I don't think we'll ever see that time happen again. So today, it's all about collaboration. It is all about being able to fit into a team. No company allows even a feature to be created just by one person. So I'm telling you that to explain the way that we're going to do the class. Because in this class, you actually submit your project before you've done it. That sounds weird, right? But let me explain. Because let's say in my company, for instance, our junior developer, Devin, wants to, and she's a graduate of your program. I hired her about 8 months ago. She's killing it. She's awesome. You'll meet her too. And let's say she wants to build a feature into our software. Well, in the old days, she would go off and build it and try and make it perfect and make it complete and then show it to me and show it to Adam and say, hey, can we use this? But today, the automatic answer would be, well, no, because only you know how this is built. And that's a problem. So today, she would do a proposal. We would use software, like a versioning software. Have you guys heard of anything like GitHub? I'll show you that. You kids, keep it down. I think they got it in control. Where was I? Git, yes. So basically, these are new tools that have arrived that enable collaboration. So what you would do is make a place on that repository, it's called, describe what she's doing, and then give access to everybody else to take a look at it. Now Adam and I can watch while she's building it. We can get in there and give some feedback. We can help her out if she gets stuck. If she needs to go on to another project, one of us can pick it up and keep it going and so forth. And that has become like the primary skill necessary, right? Nobody wants the rock star anymore. They want, I don't know, like the village people. They want a group that works really well together. So like, that's what I want to get you in the habit of. So when I say, you submit your assignment before you've done it, what I mean is, at the time you're kicking it off, you let us know. Someone is going to help you. They're going to watch you. They're going to assist with it and so forth. So here's what's good about that. You will get feedback on every single thing I ever asked you to do. Not just the project, right? Every lab, the stuff we do today, you're going to get feedback on 2 days from now. And the day before the next class, you're going to get somebody looking in again to see if you had any trouble implementing the feedback that you got. So what's good about that is you can learn really, really well. And you can get an understanding of these things. Not just using them, but actually understanding them. We're going to write everything from scratch, and I'm going to write it with you. We are going to use online editors so that you can join me in these code sessions. We can also do debug sessions where we debug all together. This is how modern development is done, and we're going to do it that way. So that's the good side of it. But here's the thing, man. If you are the kind of person who counts on turning in a killer project to make up for poor practices along the way, it isn't going to work. That will not work for you. Like, as I say, I almost don't care about the final project because I know if you're doing well all the way through, your final project's going to be good. And I care more about how you got there than because here's the thing. In what we do, in online stuff, nothing is ever done. We have some bad habits that we sort of pick up because we work with the other medias. So say, for instance, you're producing a web series. Well, when you wrap. That's it. It's done. Nothing I've ever made was done. There's always more to do with it because we can, right? We can go into it and we can change it, improve it, and make it better. And over time, what's happened, have you guys heard the term lean methodology? This is like the production cycle that most companies, if they haven't already, that they are going to, which is kind of like a continuous development cycle. So you probably would have noticed it with something like Google Chrome, right? How many versions are we up to on Google Chrome by now? Like, who even knows? It's like more than 50 that we're up to by now. Or maybe you noticed it in something like Windows. It used to be that Microsoft's development cycle was about 4 years. So about every 4 years there'd be a new version of Windows go out. Well now, it's like almost every time you boot up your computer, Windows is updating itself because they're on a continuous integration cycle. So what that means is like you need people who are flexible and adaptable and can work well with others more than you need somebody who's like a killer on the code. That ability to use modern tools and work well with others and be comfortable with people looking at your stuff before it's done is what companies need to maintain those continuous integration cycles that they're using. So I want to get you in the habit of that. And it might just mean a little bit of a shift in the way you think, but I think you will like it because there's a lot of benefits to it. Here's one. We'll be done our final project several weeks before the end of the semester. That's good. That is very good because at the end of the semester, you do not want to wind up with like 7 or 8 final projects happening all at one time. Have you guys experienced that already? I don't know. Maybe it's not so bad in the first semester, but by the second semester, this can really start to get you down. We don't want to fall into that. So we're going to get there prior to that. Then we'll be able to spend the last few classes just improving our stuff and testing it and making it better. So that's a major goal. You'll also realize if you're doing well about halfway through the semester, you'll probably realize that you've already got a passing grade. Because we also show you your grades each week. So I'll show you shortly the software we use to show you that information. So about halfway through the semester, you'll probably realize, oh man, I could actually do nothing and I'd still pass that course. I was nervous about doing that at first, but what I've observed is that people who are doing well by mid-semester want to keep doing it because they're actually liking it and understanding it. So I haven't really had a problem with that. But it is kind of a load off of your mind to know that you're already passed. So it is worth it from today to hit it hard, to get in there and do these weekly labs and follow along. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up the projector and I'm going to show you the two softwares that we make a lot of use of. I'll start off with the environment we're going to use, the development environment. Has anybody used CodePen? Have you ever heard of that? Oh my God, you're in for a treat. I want to show you this. Okay, maybe I'll ask you something else. Have you had any frustrations with doing like HTML and CSS? Did you had like a first semester introductory course, right? Mostly HTML and CSS? Little bit of JavaScript maybe? No. Just ah, shit. No worries. That's my job, is like to show you some JavaScript. So I'm going to give you that intro. I got to tell you, like, JavaScript is where it gets really interesting. It's what's going to let you do cool stuff. So we're going to get into that. So I want to show you this tool because it's so good. So the other quick note that I'll just mention is that I stream these classes. You might see I have a little microphone on right here. Actually, I shouldn't touch it. I probably just blew somebody's earphones. But I stream these classes on YouTube. So if you need to look up anything that I talked about or just want to review it, then it's there and it stays there. So hopefully that's helpful. Or if for some reason you couldn't make it in, like abducted by aliens, I don't know, whatever, then you could tune into the stream. And with what I'm about to show you, you could actually follow along pretty good from remote. Of course, I love to have you here. I do suggest being here. You'll find it a lot easier. So let me bring up the projector and we will dive on in. Where's my HDMI? Hey, who did you guys have in first semester for your HTML and CSS? Oh, Gord Fraser? Cool. Hold on. Rearrange a little bit here. Did you guys make anything fun in the first semester? Can you show it to me? Is it like online, what you guys did? It's okay, you don't have to answer that. Okay, all right, so we're gonna fix that. Because like from today on, your stuff's gonna be online. Like even what we do today will already be online. So let me show you how that's gonna work. HDMI. Maybe it's the time that I spent in advertising, but I'm such a big proponent of getting your stuff out there online as soon as you can. All right. That's my streaming software. And here. So let me show you this. Oh, let me just quickly switch the stream. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go to this site, codepen.io. Jump on over there. I love this thing. I discovered this, maybe 3 years ago, and I have been using it nonstop since. This is an online community, and it's an online software that helps you to learn front-end development. Basically the kind of stuff you need to make cool sites and cool web applications and so forth. So on the home area here, you'll always see interesting things on the home area here. And what's cool is that if you click on any of them, like I'll click on this CSS one right here, it shows you how it was made. So you see the HTML code, you see the CSS. This one has no JavaScript, boo. But it's fun, right? Because like inside of here, you can actually edit it. So let's see what happens if I make this pink 2 that they have up there. See how it changed, right? And the reason for that, or let's try pink 3 or gray or something, gray, boom, So as you make the edits, there's a feature built into this editor called Live Reload, which I find so helpful, particularly when you are starting out and learning, because usually, you know how it goes. You have to save it, and then you have to refresh your browser page to see it, and so forth. And that little bit of a break in your workflow is really disruptive. It slows you down a lot. It gets really irritating. But if you can make a change and see your change immediately, your development becomes so much faster, and your learning becomes so much faster, because it's kind of this consequence-free environment to mess around and try things to see what happens. And that's what you need to do. I'll give you guys a quick tip. If you want to become a good web developer, or if you think maybe you want to become a good developer, forget about these code marathons. You hear about these code boot camps and so forth, where people are like, you're going to spend 11 hours a day, every day, cramming code into your head. And it doesn't work. I meet people from those boot camps all the time who are like, I know nothing. Like, I heard a lot of words, but I don't really know anything. And the reason why is like really obvious if you've been coding for a long time. I started coding shortly after Space Invaders came out in video arcades. That's what got me into it. I was like borrowing quarters from my mom to play Space Invaders, and I'm like, oh man, the guy who makes this is the coolest guy in the world. And I wanted to know how to do it, right? So it's quite a long time, and I can tell you this, and I have data to back me up on this from companies like Oracle and Sun Microsystems. Companies have been doing code for a very long time. The best coders in the world cannot do more than 3 to 4 hours of fresh original code in a sitting. The best in the world. Like, these are godlike coders. And they found over and over again that what happens is when you try and go too long with this stuff, your first bit of it is good. Your first 3 hours is good. Then you do a couple of hours of kind of so-so code. And then you do a lot more hours trying to undo what you did in the so-so code. You would have been way better off to schedule frequent sessions that are shorter, an hour and stop, another hour and stop. So what you want to do, look at your day and figure out how you can make that work for you. Like for me, when I get up in the morning is a good time for me because I don't have a lot of distractions and stuff, and I'll spend an hour or two then. And the reason I can do that is because like the day before, I sort of thought about what I wanted to do during that time. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna have a coffee and I'm going to write this little piece of code here. And I think about it, but I'm not writing it physically. But, your brain in the background is figuring it out. And then when you sit down, you're so much more productive. Did you guys do the Psychology 101 class? I don't know if they talk about it still, but there's this thing called the primacy and recency effect. And it basically means that your brain remembers the first thing and the last thing in a study session. So the trick is have lots of study sessions, lots of first and last things, rather than big long ones, right? So like keep that in mind. You can make use of this. So we are going to be using this tool, CodePen. I want to show you some of the features I have. I have what they call the professor account in CodePen. So let me go back to the main area here, and I'll show you what I mean. This has made teaching very enjoyable for me. So here's my company account, Oddly Studios. And I'm going to go and create new pen. This is the feature you probably use the most. So this just kind of gives me a blank work area, and it's all set up and ready to go for me here. So just like we saw from those examples on the home page, if I go ahead and start, hi mom, putting some code in here, you know, there it is showing up in the review area below. And I'll give it a title, something like INM 220 SAA intro, like that. Give it a save. Now it's saved inside of my portfolio. But what I can do is this. When I click on change view, I have this option called professor mode. Now you won't have that if you're on the free account. But if I click mine, you see how it goes all purple there? And if I now send you this link right up here, you can bring it up on your computer and you're in there with me. So we can actually be in there writing this together. If I'm doing something and you run into a problem, then you can, you know, perhaps copy a piece of what I've done to help you out. And then the other thing we can do is, because you will have your own pen that you're working in, you can send that URL to me. Now this is super helpful because we use that for debugging. You know, as we're doing our lessons, you probably hit some point where it's like, I don't know what's wrong with this. Like, I've tried 10 things and it's just not working. When that happens, I can guarantee you, you are not the only one. The way that I used to have to deal with those things, because I don't want to leave anybody behind, I would come to the person's computer and help them. And then I would find someone else had the same problem, and I would go over here and find out, oh, it's the same problem, and I would fix it here, and then go somewhere else and fix it there. And next thing you know, the class has slowed down to a crawl. And everybody had the same problem. It's almost always the same thing. So instead, what we do now, you'll see there's this little chat window in here. And if you need some help, you take the URL of the pen you're working in, and you drop it into the chat window. That's you saying, hey, guys, give me a hand with that. I bring it up, and we debug it together. So after a little while, you'll see the way that I do debugging and the way I track down problems. And you can learn that, which is a really valuable skill. And I bet you, it always happens partway through the semester. Some people start getting a bit faster than me. Pisses me off. But like that's cool. I love it when I see that. Like, we go into debug session and somebody else finds it faster than I do. That's, you know, a really good indication you're on the right track. So these debug sessions are really, really valuable. So we're going to do this today. Before we get into that, I'm going to introduce you to the other tool we use. So this will be our development environment. We'll work inside of here. But we also need a tool that will allow us to kind of coordinate our efforts. So the next software I'm going to show you was custom built by some of the folks in my shop, along with some recent grads, and we built it to enable this kind of collaborative workflow. And the things that you see integrated into this software, you'll be able to do by the time you're hitting fourth semester. So let me walk you through it a little bit. And jump back over here. I'm going to log out for a second. So in a minute, I'm going to get you to come to this URL, and I'm going to get you to register inside of this software. But just before you do that, I'll just sort of walk you through this a little bit. In the registration area here, there's going to be a couple of drop downs that you'll be using. The first one is to select the course that you're in. You guys are in INM 220. So you're not going to be using the 420. You'll be selecting the 220. Because I'm using this exact same software for the 4th semester people. So just make sure that you register on the right one, or you're going to find yourself looking at some things you're not ready for yet. And then as far as the classes go, you're going to be selecting, after you choose the 220, then you'll be able to select the SAA group. Are you on CodePen? Are you registering on CodePen? Yeah, take the free. Yeah, don't pay the money. Keep your money. You need your money.
Just like it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it's different.
So you're signing up for CodePen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something different.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our second tool we're using. So maybe I'll pause for a minute. If you haven't made your account on CodePen yet, go ahead and do it. Choose the free one. The free account will let you do everything you need to do, and it's really great.
Does it matter which email address we use for these?
Nope. What I would say is like, don't use whatever fake email address you use to avoid spam, because this one is going to send you notices about assignments and stuff. Now, the other thing I would say about the email address, when we get to using this one, if you use an email address that will stay around after graduation, I also use this to send you information about job opportunities and things like that. So you might want to use an email address other than your Seneca one, but it's totally up to you. But CodePen first. Let's register on CodePen first. I'll give you a minute. And just throw your hand up if you had any problem registering on CodePen. One thing I will mention, when you make your CodePen account, it's going to send you an email that you need to click on to verify the account. If you don't do that, you won't be able to use the chat window. It'll stop you. So do verify it, or you won't be able to submit your stuff for debugging. Yeah, let me put away Leaflet for a minute so that you can do what you need to do on CodePen. I think you will really enjoy this. It just removes so much of the pain from learning development. Just while you're doing that, the reason why I was asking yourself about like, can I see what you did last semester, is like, without tools like this, that's actually kind of difficult. You know what I mean? But everything that you do in CodePen, it has its own unique URL that you could send to somebody. So if you find yourself, on the subway or whatever, and it turns out a creative director is sitting beside you talking about needing juniors, whip this out on your phone. You've got all your stuff there ready to go, like from day one. So I really encourage it.
Where's the free plan on CodePen?
I think you gotta scroll down. I think they're kind of like trying to hide it down there. Yeah, it's the very lackluster. It's not the big colorful boxes.
Nothing showing up tonight?
Oh, Yeah, hang on for a minute there. I wonder. Did you select the INM 220?
Yep.
And the SAA class? Okay, I'll check it out. say maybe a typo. Check your email because it should have sent you a link. If you didn't get an email, then there might have been a typo in your email address. So you might have to do the registration again. How are we doing on CodePen? Guys, get your registration yet? Oh, you're there already. Good job, man. Yeah, don't worry about it yet. I'll show you what to do next in the other one. Yeah. That's cool. You already found the profile area. Good. You guys get your CodePen accounts? Maybe throw your hand up if you've got your CodePen account. Yeah? It's worked okay? I see nods. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the next part of it here. If you had a problem setting up your CodePen account, then I'll help you out. But chances are it would probably just be a typo if you had a problem there. So the next URL that you're looking at, let me make it big here so you can see. So this is the URL that you'll be looking for, app.leafletlearning.com, which is right here. And so make sure that you're going to select INM 220 for the course, and then the SAA is your class. All right? So I'm going to log in because I'm already registered. There we go. And I'm going to go into your class and click on Lab 1, which is where we're at right now. Nice. So these guys are all folks who have managed to register right now. This looks like you guys. Do you recognize these names? Good. Yeah, nice. So let me walk you through this a little bit. And I'll show you how this works. So the first thing I would point out to you is that in the left-hand navigation up there is how you'll find your lessons, your course and your class, right? So when I click on that, I'm logged in as an instructor. So I basically see all the courses and all the classes in here. But you'll probably just see the INM 220. And then the class you registered for, which is the SAA. So as we go week to week, all of your lessons will appear in this list here, and they stay in here. So you can always click through to see previous lessons and so forth. So go ahead and click on the Lab 1, and let's take a look at what you see. So right now, it's telling me that 22 people have registered for this class. So the way each of our classes is going to work, and we're going to practice this shortly as we get hands-on and write some code, when you create the pen that you are working in CodePen, you'll see that you have a submission area here. So see how there's this input field? So that's awaiting your pen. Now, as you enter your pen into there, my view will change to show that you have submitted your pen and you're ready to start working on this lab here. And it'll also show me like what time that you submitted it and so forth. And this little counter here, you will see this going up as more and more people join in the class and are ready to start working. It's pretty good, eh? It's kind of cool. So let's see here. Who is Lauren Suhai Park? Ah, yourself. Okay, so do you have a pen made in CodePen? Go to your pen here. Yeah, so let's say that you're going to use this for our lesson today. The first thing you'd have to do is save the pen. Now, when you save it, do you see how the URL updates? Yeah, so can you copy that?
Yeah.
And then in Leaflet, put it in there and submit. And watch out, guys. Boom, see that? So I get this like real-time notification that you're ready to go. So this is really helpful because like, let's say that situation happens where you did get snowed in and you're stuck at home or whatever. This is you joining in the class anyway. So let me show you, so just don't do it yet. Let me show you what happens next with it, okay? So either myself or one of the team, if you notice the dates up here, it is saying that 2 days from now, someone is going to go and do a review of Lauren's code here. So let's say 2 days have gone by. It's now Saturday. I guess I'm working on Saturday. I'm going to go there on Saturday, click on the review button here, and check it out. Here is the code for Lauren. So I can actually see what she's done here. I can show the HTML, I can show the CSS, I can show the JavaScript. I can hide and show the result of it. I can also grab this little bar in the middle and resize it if I need to. So what I would do is I would go in here and say, nice work, Lauren, good job, excellent, hopefully my feedback would be a little more specific than that. You know what I mean? But it's nice because now your feedback is going to be right beside the code here. So it's very easy for you to look back and forth and make sense of it. And then the other thing I can do in here, see this little note down here? It says that it supports Markdown. Markdown is a language, a very simple little language that was created by developers for doing documentation. And it just lets you style things in your message a little bit. I'll give you a small example here. If I want to, I can bold some of the text by doing this. ###, bold text. See how it's like in the preview area, it's making it bold. Another thing that I can do, let's say I want to put a little piece of code in here, maybe to show you how to do some CSS or something like that. I can do that as well. To do that, I do backticks. So I can do whatever code, and then I close it with backticks. And see how it like formats it inside of here? So the reviewers and people will use these features to help you out with it. And when I'm ready to go, I submit the comment for you. Boom, and there it is. Lauren, can you help me out a little more? Click into this area. So if you click on, oh, you're in there already. Yeah, so you can go ahead and do a little reply on the comment. If you guys watch, you will see in real time her response. I hope it's nice. Boom, there we go. So, presently I'll show you how you can update your avatar pictures and customize the settings and stuff like that. But you get the idea, right? All the feedback is captured right alongside of your work, which is really quite good, I think. And then the last part of it is up here. Because I'm logged in as an instructor or any of my folks, then I can click on here and I can assign a grade for this lab. So you will see, every single week how you're doing, which I think is pretty helpful. Now, I saw some sad faces right there. But here's the thing, guys. Each one of these labs we do is worth 10%, including the one we're going to do today, right? So we're diving straight on in there. No need to hold off. But there's more than 10 labs. We have like 13 or 14 labs in a semester. So what happens is, if you didn't do too well on one of the labs for whatever reason, what you don't want to do is let that get you down. You've got to keep going, because you'll get a good lab later on, and I only take the best labs out of the total that you did. So what you don't want to do is don't participate. If you're missing classes, you can see how it could get real bad real fast, Miss 3 classes, 30% of your grade is gone. That's like 3 zeros right there. So, but I don't want you to be scared of that, because it is actually far easier to participate each time than to try and do these monster sessions at the end to try and make up for everything that you didn't understand. Would you agree with that? I mean, I hope you do, because that's how we're doing it. Okay, so that's our little preview. So let me go back to the main area of the lab. And I'll show you a couple of more things here. So right over here, this video link that you see, that's the live stream. So maybe don't bring it up in class here, or we'll kill our bandwidth. If all of us are watching the same stream, we're going to kill the school's bandwidth, and we'll start having problems. But this one up here, this is the link to the professor mode session that I'll be working in. So do go ahead and click that one. And that should be bringing you into one of those purple code pens that I was showing you. Yeah, here it is. So at this point, we're basically ready to rock. You know what I mean? Your pen is in there. You're working inside of it. And now you have the professor mode session. And if you're somewhere else, you have the live stream that you can be watching as well. Whew. That was a lot of stuff, right? But it's actually fairly simple. It's like, make a pen, put the URL of the pen in, and then you work inside of that pen, and that's how we see what you're up to and help you out. So, shall we give it a try? Everybody's got a pen ready to go? Now, a couple things. Number one, make sure your pen is saved. You have to hit the save button at least once. After that, CodePen will just keep resaving it for you, which is kind of nice. But you have to save it at least once. The other thing I would recommend, give it a name that makes sense. So maybe, identify that it's Lab 1. See how mine is named like INM 220 SAA Lab 1? If you do a similar name, it'll make it easier for you later on to see what you did for each of the labs. So make a new pen, save it, and then submit it in Leaflet using the account that you've created. Now I will keep an eye on Leaflet here, and let's see how many we get. Yeah, let's do it. So if you're logged in and you click on Lab 1, you should see an area where you can submit. Oh, you are in my pen. There, so go to your pen.
Yeah.
And now you've got a save button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's a common mistake. Oh, you found the settings area. That's cool.
No, I couldn't
Oh,
remember that
interesting.
because I made it on the other
Okay.
window, but then when I tried to do on the Firefox, I couldn't find it.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay, let me check that out for you. Why bake one at myseneca.ca? Okay. Yep, that's good. So Amanda got hers in there. That's good. Frederick's in there. Carla's in there. Fong is in there. Christian Chengakoko? Chenko. That's a cool name. That's good. No rush. Take your time. You still having trouble making your CodePen account?
Yeah, I still get the email.
And you didn't get any email to
Yeah.
there? Huh. Seneca.ca. All right. What I might suggest, do you have any other email address you could register with?
Yeah, I have, but I don't want to use my Gmail.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. So it does want this right here. Select the images with trees. Okay.
I'm
This
already
one?
do this one.
This one? I guess that's a tree. I think that's okay. Verify.
Yeah.
Good. And then, I wonder, have you tried the forgot
Yeah,
password?
I forget. Yeah, I tried this before, but
Yeah?
it still not work.
All right, let's see what happens. Are you sure about the password?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah? YPZ. And there's no dashes or anything like
No,
that in
no.
there? Okay. Well, let's try it. See what happens. All right, you want to check that email? I know sometimes the school's email's a little slow. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay, so you might see the email show up.
You want me to use another address?
Well, give me a minute and I'll check it out. Yeah. Feel like you might have got registered into the wrong class.
No, I think that I registered with the Internet Explorer,
Uh-huh.
and then at the time I chose the tool, and I tried to register with the Firefox, it doesn't choose it.
Okay. Can I try something? Sure. Let's try taking you back to the main area out of the settings. Oh, I think you're probably okay. Ah, I see. Okay. I will help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just give me a minute
Thank you.
because there's a lot of registrations going on right now. Any luck? Did it send you anything? I feel like something is weird with that email. Da, 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 da. I mean, you could, like, there is the options to log in with Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if you want to do that. If it was me, I would use the Gmail. That might be your best bet, because you'll definitely need that to have that account working. So you had an issue.
No, actually, I figured it out. It was, I just used a different email and it worked fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure really how this program works or whatnot, but I can't seem to get the background color to change. I literally copied the code
Right.
that you put up. And,
Yes. You know why? Because when you see these dollar signs here,
yes.
that is indicating that it's not actually CSS. It's a language called SCSS.
SCSS. Oh.
Yeah. So to get it working, you have to turn on CSS compilation. I'll show you guys that
Okay.
stuff. We'll go through these settings here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They call it SAS.
Okay, gotcha. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Question?
What do we actually have to do to make it? Because
You just write code.
that's it.
Well, this would be your CSS area. So any of the visual styling you want to do. And then JavaScript for interactivity, like. Oh, I'll be showing you. We're going to do it together. So you'll follow along with what I'm doing. And yeah, so this is, okay, give me 1 second because I want everybody to hear it. So here, this is what I was mentioning, guys. This is what I mean by, in modern development, you submit it before you do it, right? So when you submit your pen, this is you saying, I'm going to start doing it. It's just an empty blank pen. There's nothing there, but now we're going to work together. So I'll be working in my professor mode session so that you can see what I'm doing, follow along, and then also use your own creativity in yours to make it interesting for you. So just give it a minute. This process will be a lot smoother the next time, but today we have these registrations to take care of. But I do see a lot of people are making it happen here, so that's nice. Let me check out yours. So that was why bake one?
Yep. It should have logged you in automatically, I think.
On CodePen?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after you log out, and then you.
So I have
I think you are logged in because you do have a save option. If you click that, what happens? Oh, it just wants you to write something, so stick a couple characters in there.
what?
It's a lot of pressure.
It doesn't matter. Like we changed the title, just like.
Yeah. So it should let you save now. Oh my God, don't say it's a bad day now.
Login.
Hopefully.
Because you know what? Probably. Like maybe you didn't register.
Can I make another email address?
You definitely can.
Still cannot.
No, you can register as many accounts as you want. So if you want to try it with a different email address, you can definitely do it. You'd have to go to registration, so you'd probably click on sign up, and then go to the bottom, and then try that sign up there, yeah. Because I wonder if it's a problem with the email. Oh, it wants that reCAPTCHA again. Well, there is no reCAPTCHA on here. I don't know. I feel like there's a problem with the email address. You may have to use a different email.
Go to this, the home page.
Okay. Is Bruna? Bruna? That's you? Or, you. So were you able to submit a pen, your URL?
What do you mean by submitting?
So click on the save. Very good. So
It's not happening anything.
great. So now if you copy this URL,
Yeah.
copy, and then go to leaflet. Now you can put it in there. Yeah. Now you'll be using that pen for today's lesson, and then we'll be able to see your code.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good. And what about Yun Hui? Oh, that's yourself? Okay, so I'll wait on that. Anybody else? Let's take a little quick scan here. Vivian, Is there a Vivian? Yeah. Oh, yourself. Okay. So. So I don't know if you guys are interested. This is like more advanced stuff, but if you're curious about what you'll be doing in later semesters, that software leaflet is all running off of a service called Firebase. This is kind of a more modern way of doing a database. So in future semesters, I'll be showing you how to do this. It's Firebase that's allowing that real-time stuff. So we did have one person had an issue with creating their account. So I'm going to go in the database right now and take a look and see if I can figure out what happened. So let me show you the user interface of Firebase. So if I go into the authentication, these are all the people that have registered in this software. So I can do a little sort. So these are all people from January 12. So this is probably you guys. And then I'm going to do a little search for why bake 1. That's you, right? Yeah. So you can see the way that it works, this stuff, is like every person gets this long ID here. It's called a unique ID. So what I do is I'm going to copy this and then go look for your information using that. And that's how we'll figure out what happened. So I go to copy, and I go to the database. Whew. Sometimes it takes a second. This database is getting big. So right down here, here's all my users, right? So if I do a little search with your UID, wow, it didn't get in there. So the only thing I can think of, so when something like this, weird like this happens, this is a concern for the software. So what I would do is I would post something to my team to describe what happened. We investigate and we try and fix it, but I can fix it right now. Let me get you up to date. So what I'll do is I'm going to put you directly into the database. All right, so this is your unique ID. Then the email address. So that was ybay1, like, is that right? Yeah, right. At like this? Okay, cool. And then I add to your enrollments, and you are enrolled in INM 220, and your class is the SAA 2017-01. And then I put in your name as well. Sorry, I don't know your name yet. Can you help me? Can you maybe type it in there? Sure. How do you say it? Kita?
Kita, right.
Kita.
Yeah. You want me to write my original name too?
It's whatever you
Yeah.
like.
Okay.
You'll be able to change it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the other thing I put in here is that you are a student. So right here, your role is student. Oop, there we go. So I think if you log in now, you should be okay.
Thank you. I will try.
Yeah, let me know how it goes. You are seeing the software development process. There's always something. What's that? Oh, you can't. That is mine only. You would need my login. Yeah, if you could get in there, you could actually give yourself all A+. Can't have that. Good? All right, great.
Really confused about that.
All right. So how about this, guys? We're about to get hands-on on this thing. If you have made your account, if you've submitted your URL, let's take a quick break. 10-minute break. When you come back, we're going to change gears and write some code. Sounds good? All right. Maybe I can help you guys. How's it going?
I helped them with.
But
the code
yeah,
pen.
Okay, so you've got a CodePen account now?
Yeah.
That's good. Great.
And this one says she's already registered. The only thing is the password there might have been an issue with that.
Okay, let me reset it for you, and then we'll just get you registered. Actually, here, come with me.
Now I can log in.
You're good. You are already logged in. So you are now free to make new pens and do everything. So if we do like, and we click save. Now, see how you've got it, your name is in the URL? So you'll be able to take this and submit it into Leaflet. Were you able to make your Leaflet account over here? Did you register here yet?
Already, yeah.
Okay, so then let's try logging in. The good news is you only need to do it one time. After we get everything working, you'll be good for the rest of the semester. Yeah, good. And then over here, here's lab 1.
why I cannot log in?
It says that your password's wrong. So you might have had a typo in your password. Now you see, here's you. So you're able to now paste your pen into there and submit. And now you have the check mark and you're ready to go. Yeah. Yeah, take a break. Get some coffee. Okay, let's reset your account. It's okay. It will get easier after this. So I'm going to go into the database and let's take a look at what happened. So you're actually getting to see the magic that is running everything inside here. There we go. So let's find yourself. Let's sort by today. And then, okay, so what is your email address?
YPZHANG1. Yeah,
This one
that's
here?
one.
Okay, great. So looks like, and let me just double check here. So if there was a typo in the password, I can probably do a reset password. Let's try that. So it is going to send an email to you at this email address. Let's try it and see if it shows up in your email. Okay, let's check. Because I'm really wondering about the email. Oh, look, it did show up. Ah!
Here?
Yeah, no, that's CodePen, but
But
Yeah,
it's
click-
so late.
Yeah, so you know what's happening? It's the school. The school server is a little bit slow. It's probably processing a lot of emails. So it might just take a little while.
So, but I didn't
Okay.
receive the change.
So you know what? Let's fix it. Come with me. Let's just delete that one, and I'll let you re-register, and then you don't have to worry about any password reset. So it'll take one more step, but let's do it. So I'm going to delete this one. Boom. Actually, one more thing I have to do. Let me copy this. And I also have to remove it over here in the database. So it's like 2 steps. But then you'll be able to register it again. So
Can you change password over here?
I can't. It won't let me because it won't give me any access to your passwords, right? Because otherwise I could use it to like hack your bank accounts and stuff like
But
that.
it's different
So that's smart, but most people are not that smart. So it doesn't let me have any access to that. But that's okay. So let's just get rid of this one out of here. Great. And now we'll go back to here. And we'll remove it from here. And then you'll be able to
Why
do it
here?
again. Oh, thank you.
H.
Hold on. I forgot to sort it. Okay.
ZH.
There. So now we'll delete it here. Right there. Okay. So now, here, wait with me here. What I'll do is let me log out, and then let's do it together here. So I'm going to select INM 220, and we'll select
This
the
one?
SAA, and then you can put the email in there. Oh, don't forget the rest of the email. Yeah, looks good. Oh, you're in the wrong spot.
Hi.
I might have seen it. Uh-huh. Yeah. And put your name in, just so I know who it is. Great. And then click register. Oh, I don't have tap on my pad. You have to use the, sorry about that. There. So now you're good to go.
Okay,
So let me log out and then you try log in and let's see if you're set. So you want to go to
Log out. I have
this
to
one?
log out.
Uh-huh. And now you can try. There's something not right with that password. Yes. Try. So can you click that one? Yeah, and you can click on lab 1, which is
Lab 1.
where we are. And there you go. So the last thing is you have to give me the URL of the pen you're working in. So go to the code pen. Yeah, make a new pen. Yeah, give it a save. You maybe have to give it a title or something. I love it. Best site ever. And hit save. Oh, that's better. I like that more. Good. So now that you saved it, you can copy this.
If and
Yeah.
Yes.
And then submit it in here. And submit. And you're in. Yeah.
Oh, what is the NA?
Not applicable. It just means no grading has been done yet. But later on, you'll see your grade appear. Woo. All right. You guys mind if I just grab a cup of coffee and bring it back? We're almost ready to rock here.
How long is the break time?
Like 10 minutes? Did I use up the 10 minutes already?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Shit. Okay, I'll hold off on coffee because we're going to have to get going on this. Hopefully folks arrive back shortly. Yeah, question. Yeah, it looks good. Yep, you are set. So now as you do your work in here and you're saving it, it'll update inside of Leaflet. Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? No, so you can work in here. Yeah, yeah. Yes, lab one. Yeah. What's that? Well, that'd be good. It's your choice. You can edit the name. You're always allowed. You can always change this, but the URL will stay the same, which is good because that's the one you submitted. Yeah, but you can name it whatever you like. That's right. Yeah. So you could even take this and email it to somebody if you want to show them your work, and it will bring them right here. Yeah. It's a really nice piece of software. I like it. Okay, guys. So I feel like it's been 10 minutes. So let me log in here. We'll start a little slow. Hopefully folks arrive back from getting their coffee. So I'm going to log in. There we go. And I'll jump over and join you guys in the 2017. Okay, so there's a little mention down here in the description that we're going to be looking at the structure of web applications, and we'll do a little bit of hands-on with what we call data modeling. So we're going to be starting from the most basics of JavaScript. But I'll ask just quickly, like, has anybody worked in JavaScript a little bit? Have you tried a few things? You've done some stuff? A little bit? Okay, cool, cool. So it'll take me a little bit of time to figure out the right pace for everybody. So for today's class, I'm going to be starting with like the basics. But even if you've done a bit of JavaScript, you may find a few things today that you've forgotten or that you haven't used in a little while. And I always find it helpful refreshing the memory like this, okay? So we're going to start off on the data side of things. Now, what I mean by that is just simply this. All applications, web applications, apps that you have on your phone, whatever, they all basically have three things in common. All software is built with three things. The first thing is called the data layer. They call it that because at the end of the day, all software is managing data of some kind. It's organizing data. It doesn't matter if it's your iTunes. Well, there's a lot of data in iTunes, isn't there? You've got all those titles, the music duration, all of your albums, URLs to album covers and stuff. That is a lot to keep track of. That's a really good use of software. But even the software that controls a roller coaster, that's data too. It needs to keep track of how fast it's going, how many G-forces it's pulling as it hits a bend so that it doesn't fly off and kill everyone. That's dramatic. But it's true, right? That's very valuable data. So really, if you think about it, the end job of every software is to manage data. Now, the second tier, the second part of it, is what we call the controller or the logic tier. It's the decision making. So think about when you just hit your login button there. There's a decision that has to happen, right? Some part of the software has to say, hey, wait, are you already logged in? And how does it know? Well, it asks the data portion. It says, hey, data, is logged in true for this person? And data says yes or no. And then the decision maker says, okay, if you're already logged in, well, maybe I just don't do anything. Or maybe I log you out. Or if you're not logged in, maybe I show you a form, right? So that's the second part of all applications. The third part is what we call the view. And the view is basically everything you're seeing on the screen. It's anything you're presenting to the users that gives them some kind of information. And it's also anything the user does to interact with it. So in a web application, the view is going to include things like your buttons, your input fields, using the mouse or tapping a screen. This is all part of what's considered the view portion of the code. So today, we are going to do a little bit of work inside that first portion, the data. And I'm going to start with the most basic of data, which is actually pretty straightforward to understand. Now, it'll seem like we're starting a bit slow, but over a couple of lessons, you will be surprised at what you're able to build, even with a little bit of knowledge. Okay? So let me jump into the professor mode session here so that we can do some stuff. It's always good to get in there and actually write some stuff. Let me close a few things here, or my browser's going to have trouble. All right. So this is my professor mode session. You can tell because it's purple. And I can see you've got a second screen there where you can see what I'm doing. And it's up here as well. But you will be working inside of your pen, the one that you submitted into Leaflet. Okay? So let's do a couple of things. I would say let's make a really, really basic little HTML page just to start with. So what do we need? Over here in the HTML code, well, the first thing we need is the HTML tag, right? And every tag has a closing, which looks like /HTML. And these two tags, the opening and closing together, we call an element. So this is our HTML element. Anybody remember what else goes inside of an HTML page? Head tag. Good answer. We have the head tag. Body tag is in there. So this is probably, the most basic HTML page we could make. But this will do the job. So for now, let's just go in the body and put a little message so we can see that this is working. So I'll put something like a little H1. Looking pretty good. Man, that sounds awesome, eh? All the keys. Impressive. Now, over here, I just put a few little notes to indicate what we're going to be doing. All right? So one of the notes that I've mentioned in here is talking about something called primitive types. All right, so now we're going to start working a little bit with data. Let's say we were creating something like a simple login area. Our user has logged in. What kind of things might we need to know about that user? think about the applications that you use, that you sign into. Maybe use Facebook, maybe use Twitter or something like that. What do you think would be the kind of data that we would, the most basic kind of data that we want to know about the person?
Email.
Say that again?
Email.
Oh, their email, yeah, totally, right? So let's put that in our data. Over here, we're going to make our first variable. So I'm going to say var email equals, and this is my little fakey email that I use, tim@bot.com. This is our first little piece of data. So let me put a little note for myself here. You can put a code note by putting some backward slashes. Or no, front slashes, regular slashes. Now this seems like a really simple thing, but this is the basis of all programming, all web applications. It may not seem like it because it's something so small, but what we just created here, this is called a primitive value. Now here's what I mean. Once you've got that in there, let's pause for a second. We are going to forget about programming just for a moment. And I want you to imagine that you're on a fabulous vacation. You know? Beautiful, deserted island. It's wonderful. You meet some amazing people. You're running low on food, but you don't speak their language. If you need to communicate with them because you need their coconuts and fish, how would you do it? What would be the most basic way you would establish communication? I've got a coconut. You want it. How are you going to let me know? I don't speak your language. So far, I'm not convinced to give any of you my coconut. Right? Usually, the first level of communication,
Point to it and then point them on that.
I'm going to say conditionally yes. Depends what else you're doing. Here's the thing. What you've done with that is you've done a yes or no communication. If you can figure out yes and no, which people usually can, right? If I hold up the coconut and someone's like, yeah, or like, we know right away, right? So humans are pretty good at picking that stuff up. It's weird, right? But it doesn't matter where you go in the world, people can figure out yes or no almost right away. So in computer language, computers, that's the first thing they need to understand as well. Yes or no. Now, in programming, we call it a Boolean. And Boolean is what we call one of the primitive data types. So let me add a Boolean to here as well to indicate if this person is actually logged in or not. That's a yes or no, isn't it? You're either logged in or not logged in. So if I need to keep track of that, I might do something like var logged in equals, and I'll say true. I'm going to say this guy is logged in. So I can put a little note to say that this is a Boolean. There are 6 primitive data types that we use, and everything is done with those 6 things. So the Boolean is pretty easy to understand, right? But it's a little bit limited, isn't it? What if you wanted 30 coconuts? And You know, with just a Boolean, I got to hold up a coconut. You say, yeah, yeah, yeah. I hold up another one. You say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we got to do that 30 times until you finally go like, no, no, no. And then I stop giving you coconuts. So you can do it, but it's not very efficient, is it? It's not very good. So usually the next thing that people figure out is numbers. If I hold up the coconut and you go like, then I know you want 6 coconuts, right? Doesn't that make sense? So numbers are our next primitive data type that we need to know about. We could do it all with Booleans, but that would be, and oh man, if I'm going to blow your mind, I would tell you, technically we do it all with Booleans, because all computer code gets compiled to byte code, which is ones or zeros, which is yes or no. But, for us people, we're not very good with doing everything with Booleans. So, let's introduce a number. Var, well, what would we want to know about this person? Maybe their age, right? Equals 30. And there's our number variable. Now this next one that we created already, the email, does anybody know what data type that is? We call it something a little weird. We call it a string. I'm not totally sure why they called it a string, but a string is basically a written description. It's a string of letters and numbers together. And it kind of makes sense, right? If I have my yes or no, you can get 1 coconut. If I have numbers, you can tell me you want 6 coconuts. But what if you want some shredded coconut and some ground coconut and some coconut chips and so forth? You need something where you can describe it. You need some kind of written language. So this is where our strings come in. Now these 3 guys are used 90% of the time in keeping track of data in your applications. So what have we got shaping up here? Well, it's actually pretty descriptive, isn't it? I know that some dude named Tim Bott with this email address is logged in and he's 30 years old. What could I do with that? I could sell him products, that's for sure. That's what Facebook does, isn't it? It's how they make their money. So this kind of data, while it seems simple, what you do with it can be pretty significant. I could recommend dates. You know, every dating service relies on this kind of data. And then sometimes they also sell you products. You can take that data, you can sell it to someone else that needs it. There's data brokerages now that do that all the time. Advertising companies do this, you know. And it all comes down to these. Now there's a couple more that are a little bit different, so let me show you them. There's another one called the null. And there's another one which is called undefined. When we see these data types show up, it means that we don't know what the value of something is. Or it means something doesn't exist at all, right? So if I hold up a coconut and you look in it and you're like, I know that's some kind of a food, that's kind of like a null, right? Or it's like, or sorry, that's kind of like an undefined. It's like, I know it's something, but I can't put my finger exactly on it, what it is or what I use it for or anything else. In computer terms, when that happens, we call it an undefined. If I hold up a coconut and you think, I'm on the wrong planet, that's a null. You have no clue what this, who I am, what I'm doing, why I have this thing or anything else, right? So usually, quite often when you see that, there's something has gone wrong in your application. So you might see in your error messages some kind of null values, and you have to go and figure out what went wrong there. But as far as it goes, guys, these are your data. And you can pretty much describe anything in the world using these data types if you try hard enough. So here's what I want you to do. Try something. I want you to pick out something that is important to you and see if you can make some of these little data types that describe that thing. What about like a sports car, right? Anybody into cars? Anybody likes sports cars? What did you want to get for Christmas and everyone shafted and didn't give you? Could you describe it using these data types here? It's a little bit of a challenge, but give it a try. I have basically described a guy who's logged in and is age 30 with these 3 variables. If I added more variables, I could describe a lot more about this guy, couldn't I? What else would I do? I might, depending what software I'm making here, I might be interested in things like the sex being male. What else? What if I'm building financial software? Maybe I want to know how much money they have in their account. So I give them $500. Now it's getting interesting. Now I know I've got a 30-year-old male who's currently logged in and has $500 in his account. I can do a lot more with my software now, can't I? You know, maybe I'm offering investments or something like that. So I'm going to pause with this guy for a minute because I want you to give this a try. Can you describe something that is important to you using these primitive data types? Give it a shot. Get in there. Do.
Could you tell me again about what is the count? What do you mean by that?
So in account, I've said 500 because I'm saying that he's got $500 here. But I could also do it as a string. I could say, I could type out $500. So there's a couple different ways I can do it. I did it this way because I figure if this is money, I probably want to add and subtract from it.
Yeah.
And for that, I need a number.
Yeah, it's changeable.
Yeah. So give it a try, right? Let me do a different one. Let me change it entirely. Yes, a colon. Yeah. Yep. Oh, a colon? That's not right. Oh, I jumped the gun. I'm going to show you objects next, and they use colons. Sorry about that. That's better. Yeah, see that little red exclamation showed up on the bottom right? Because I had a bug. If I would have tried to look at account right then, it probably would have given me an undefined because my equals was wrong. So let me try something else here. Let me try, now what we're doing here is called data modeling. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. I didn't get my coffee because on the break, I was too busy. Crap. When something bad happens, you can usually write a piece of software that will help you fix it. So I'm going to think about some kind of software that lets me order my coffee and have one of you guys pick it up for me. So what would I need to know, right? You guys are probably going to need to know some things about my coffee. So I'll say, how many coffees do I want? So I'll say coffee count equals 1. I just want 1 coffee. What kind of coffee do I want? So I'll say var coffee description equals double. Canadian, eh? There we go. You know, when do I need it? I'll say deadline equals ASAP. You know, there's a lot of things we could do in there. I could put an actual time or a day. You know, but with this is me sort of trying to figure out what I need in terms of data to build an application. Now, I'd probably take that and I'd have to make the logic part of it, the decision making, and I would definitely need to make some kind of view, which would probably include things like a form and a login and things like that, so that people who are supposed to get me my coffee can log in and see some on their screen the values inside of this data here. And that's what I'll be showing you how to do. But the more familiar you get with the data modeling part of it, man, this is the really important stuff. What happens if I miss a critical part of this data? You know, people think that problems happen in software because of the UX, because of the user experience. But the user experience is not what kills software, to be honest with you. If it was, Craigslist would have never succeeded. Facebook would have never succeeded. Have you ever seen somebody who's never used Facebook before go in there for the first time? It's hard to find those people now. But the first time you go into Facebook, it is a friggin' nightmare. You don't know what the hell's going on. User experience-wise, Facebook isn't good. But people stick it out anyway because the data is really interesting. All those endless little bits of somewhat meaningless but controversial items that people are putting up there all the time. And you can always scroll and look at one little more. It's like sushi. You know, I can always cram one more sushi in my mouth. Facebook is like that. It's the data that's important. It's the data that determines if the business model is valid for this thing. And you're learning how to model data right now. It's pretty cool. Now, these guys I've mentioned, we call the primitives. So looking at this right now, I got Tim, who's 30 and is logged in and has some money in his account and probably can order a coffee. And he has ordered one, because there's a 1 right here. He wants a coffee. That is a double-double, and he needs it ASAP. I feel like I'm being selfish with this data modeling. I can't help it. You got to model what you know.
Are you going to pay it on before the student pick it up, or the student going to have to pay for it?
Oh, snap. That's a good question. Can I model an answer to that? Let's see. You know what? I probably need to model the person who's getting this, you know? So I'd probably have to say like server equals, who wants to be the server here? I'm not going to make you get me a coffee in case you're wondering. Okay, and your name? Bruna. So I'll say the server is Bruna. There we go. And that means that probably if you're serving me these coffees, you've probably made $2 off of me, right? So now I have an account and you have an account. And when I need to pay you, we take the money out of mine and we put it into yours. That could be a good way of indicating if, you know, who's paying for this thing. But you start to see how the logic parts come in, right? Because you'd have to, if you're going to do that, you'd have a couple logic decisions. You'd have to say, does Tim have any money? And if he does he have $2? If he has $2, let's take it out of there and give it into you and your account, right? So there's a couple, you start getting into some of the logic decisions of the thing. But before we get to logic, before we do that, I want to take this a little bit further here. because these guys are the basics. They're the ones you need to know. They're not that bad, are they? Guys feel fairly comfortable with what we've done there? Cool, cool. It's these three that we use all the time, and then a couple more that show up usually when we've got some problem in our code. But if we just keep working in these primitive types here, it's going to start getting a little bit complicated. And the reason why I say that is I'm modeling, a basic login and a cup of coffee. What if you had to model a DC-10 jet? You know what I mean? Millions of parts, millions of codes inside of there. Oh man, if you had to do that all just with the primitive types, it would get very, very difficult to do. But fortunately, JavaScript and pretty much all languages give us the next level of types that we can use. So in JavaScript, we have a couple of things that allow us to take these primitive types and put them in collections that we can use to organize these primitive types. We call them objects, and we call them arrays. There's a couple more now called maps and sets that are a little bit newer to JavaScript. So why don't we make some of those so you can sort of see how those work. So the way that they're different is like this. In an array is a collection of these primitive values inside. And the way that it goes into the collection is very similar to a deli counter. You guys ever order stuff at a deli and it's like really busy and stuff, and you go up and they don't just give you your stuff right away, you have to take a number, right? So they give you this number and the numbers are all in order, and then when they're ready, they call out your number. You go up, you get your smoked meats or your macaroni salad or whatever, and you're on your way. An array works very similar to that, where every item that goes into the collection gets a number. And you can use that number to put something in or take something out of it. So let's try it. Let's make a little array right here. And I'll show you how we do it. Okay, making an array. Throw a little note in there for yourself. Alrighty, an array. What do we need to keep track of here? Let's say I wanted to keep track of my last 3 coffees that I ordered and what they were. So you can see after a while what my favorite coffee is. Makes sense, right? So let's give it a try. I'm going to say var coffee orders equals, here's how you make a collection. So this is not a primitive data type. This is a little bit more complex. Square brackets. Now if you type the first square bracket, CodePen does something nice for you. It automatically puts the other square bracket for you because it knows you're going to need it. So hopefully it helps you avoid some typos, because if you miss that closing square bracket, you'll have a bug. Your program will run into issues. So I've got square brackets here, and I'm going to put in some coffee descriptions. So I put some quotes, and I'm going to say I ordered a double-double. But I mentioned that I want to keep track of like the last 3 orders, right? So the way I can put another one of my orders in here is by putting a comma. So the comma is you saying, I want to add another one into here. So maybe the time before that, I ordered it just like black. It's probably a rough morning. Now, you tell me, how am I going to add one more, guys? I want to put another double-double in here. You got it. Comma. And I'll put another double-double in there. When you see those square brackets, know that this is a collection. It's an array. Inside of here, now I'm going to test your brain just a little bit here. When I see these quotes and these word descriptions in here, know that each one of these is one of the primitive types. Which primitive type are they? For $10,000, which one? May not actually be $10,000. This double-double here. Looking at our primitives, what is that?
Could it be considered a string?
Yes, exactly. It's a string. But you can put any primitive type you want in here. You can put numbers, you can put strings, you can put booleans, you can even put nulls and undefineds in there. I don't know why you would, but JavaScript lets you do that. Now that's a little different because most languages don't let you do that. Like if you do programming in C, for instance, your arrays can only accept one primitive type. If you put a string in there, you're not allowed to put a number in. You're not allowed to put a Boolean. JavaScript is more like, whatever, man. Throw it in there. I don't care. Sure. So this is both good and bad, right? Because JavaScript is not so strict as the other languages, you can make things pretty fast. Like, look at here. We're already modeling out everything we need to make a pretty cool application, and it's going pretty quickly. But the bad part of it is that it means that you have to be careful. Because we've got this array of strings, and what if I accidentally put a number in there, and my application was expecting it to be a string, and now it's getting a number, and it's like, and it crashes. You know what I mean? So it does mean that you just kind of have to take your time when you're working in JavaScript, and just be careful about it, because it won't do as much to protect you from making those kind of mistakes. It gives you a lot of power, but you know how it goes, right? With much power, much responsibility, saith Spider-Man. So, you just have to be aware of that. Now this is our array. Now let's see if we can use a couple of other features of arrays that are pretty helpful for us. Stuff that we don't get just with the primitives here. So here's what I want you to do first of all. Have you used the developer tools in your browser before? So if I right click down in this area down here, the review area, I have this option called inspect. If I click that, it's going to open up this separate window here. Guys familiar with that? Cool. So I'm going to click on this one called the console, which is a pretty helpful little tool here that will save your bacon many times when you're a developer. I'm going to show you very quickly what we can do with that. So right down here in the area of my coffee orders, I can do something like this. I can say, hey console, give me a log of the coffee orders. Oh, I usually right-click down here to bring up this context menu, and then go on inspect. Yeah. There's a keyboard shortcut too. I think it's like F9. I think it's like, or Shift F9 maybe. But I usually right-click. But you see what I get here, guys? My array. This is pretty handy because as you're working away and building your code, you can use the console log to give little information for yourself here. Now, users who are visiting your site, they won't see that. because unless you know to open up this developer console, it's invisible and it doesn't affect your application at all. But it's really handy for you as the developer. Let's see what else what other information I can get here about this array. I'm going to say console log coffee orders. And what I want to know is what is the first coffee in this array. All right? So to do that, remember I mentioned that when you put items in an array, they each get a number, just like at the deli counter. So what I want to say is, show me the first one. To see the first one, square brackets again, and I give it a number. So if I want the first one, that number is going to be 0. That can throw you off. Just know that when you put items into an array like that, they don't start at number 1. They start at number 0. Because computers, you know, they love 0. We don't use it that much, but they consider 0 to be the first thing in there. So, when I say number 0, you see what I get? The double double. Because, yeah, that's the first one in there. So tell me, if I want to see the second coffee in the array, what would the number be? I heard it. Did anyone say 1? I know, you all said 1. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, you got this. So let's take a look at that second coffee just to confirm it. Yup, there's my black coffee. Now at some point, I probably want to know how many coffees I've ordered, like the total. Would you agree? That would be pretty useful information. There's another property of arrays that will give me that. It's called the length. So let's do this. I'm going to say console log, and I'm actually going to write a little message for myself in the log. With the quotes, I can say, you ordered a total, no, you ordered this many coffees. Okay? And then right after that, I'm going to say coffee orders dot length. Duh, I have a typo in coffee. Coffee orders. Okay. See that showing up in my console there? So now it knows my first coffee was a double-double, and then I ordered a black, and altogether I've ordered 3 coffees. It's not bad, right? Now, this is the console, but you can probably imagine doing a nice design for something like that. You can probably picture putting a nice brand on something like that, right? If it was me, I would start thinking about, how is this a viable software? I'd start thinking, yeah, I'm going to call it Coffee Bro. And when you log in, you can see your history of coffees, and maybe it recommends my next coffee. Maybe it has deals from local coffee places I could try out. And I can meet people who will deliver my coffee to me, and then I can deliver coffees to other people, and oh my God, I just made Uber. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's a little grandiose what I'm saying there, but that's how it begins. It all starts with this data modeling and testing it and seeing like, oh, is this interesting data? Is it worth keeping track of? Yeah. Question?
No, like here.
Oh, excellent. So open the chat window. in the professor mode session here. Let's do a little debug session. So in the chat window, if you copy your pen URL and paste it in here, we can check it out. So the chat window is on the professor mode session. So the purple one that I'm in. Oh, yes, this is my mistake. I made a mistake. I had to fix it like this. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So somebody throw their pen in the chat so we can do a debug. Yep. Oh, I see. Oh, I think I see what it is. Right here, that should be length. So with H, I think. There. Click that little guy. Let's see what he thinks. Something, oh, you know what? I think it's your comment here. I think it should be /star. Yeah, and then asterisk. The little, where is it? This guy? Ah, that's what it is. Yes. So this one, this is called the comment block. So this one opens it, and then you can write any notes you want, and then that one closes it, and then it knows this is code and not comments. Yeah. Oh, good. We have a debug. Scan man? Yes. Our first customer. I appreciate it. So you see how this goes, right? Because he's dropped this in the chat window here, I can now jump in here, look at his code, and help him out. We can all help him out, basically. I mean, this is looking pretty good. So let me just open my console. Oh, there is a problem. Coffee orders is not defined. Okay. Let's see if we can find the problem here. So right here we've got coffee orders. It looks pretty good. Maybe there's a typo in here somewhere. Line 31. Coffee orders dot length. Let me refresh my page. Maybe that's an old console log. Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, you're totally good. Yeah. But anybody else who wants, we can take a look at it. Okay, so do you have my professor mode
I don't know
session
how
open?
to-
Oh, okay, click on here
Yeah.
and click here.
Yes.
Now, here's where I'm working.
Okay.
So if you open this chat,
Yes.
you can now put your pen in there and we can take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, copy that one. It's pretty cool, right? Cool. We have a new customer. Our help team is swinging into action. Okay, guys, let's take a look at Bruno's here. All right. It's looking pretty good, right? Let's open the console, see if it's giving us anything weird. No, this is looking pretty good to me. There's a double, it's black coffee, and it knows that we ordered 3 coffees. So this looks good to me. It seems fine. Yeah. I don't see any problems here. But what I am going to want you guys to think about is like, just let me kind of really drive this point home, guys. What I don't want to just see, I'm really happy to see you guys following along and participating, That's awesome. But I don't want to see just my code. You know what I mean? I want to see you show a bit of creativity in here. So it doesn't have to be today, but tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, maybe you think of something that's a cool idea for you. Make it simple, something that you could data model. Now, you may or may not get it. I don't care. What I care about is, do you try, right? Because if you don't get used to trying your ideas and expanding on what you're learning, it will always be hard. Okay, you have to take a little bit of a chance. So maybe I can show you right now what I mean. I'm going to forget about the coffee idea. I don't like it. I decided it's already been done. Tim Hortons has a great app or whatever. There's this Hangry app or whatever. So maybe this isn't a good idea. Nope. My new idea is all about pets. Yes, pet rentals. That's the money right there. This is what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to change up my data model, and I'm going to see if I can model what I need to know about pets to make a pet rental service. Pet rental service. All right, let's do it. So let me show you guys how I can take this stuff that I've done and just kind of stash it away. I'm going to turn it into what we call a comment block. Wait, I'm in Bruna's. Sorry, Bruna. I'm out of here. There we go. Oh, and then we'll check out Kita here. But just before I do that, let me show you how we can do this. So you see up top here, this little chunk that is gray? This gray stuff gets ignored by the browser. It doesn't try to do anything with it. This is what we call a code comment. It's just notes for ourselves. But what developers will very often do is they will use these code comment blocks to temporarily hide some code. So see how that's all turned gray now? The reason why is because I put this little /* at the beginning, and that will turn everything inside here into code comments until I put */. You know what I mean? So you start the block with /*, and then you end it with */. And whatever you put inside of here, the browser just ignores it. It won't even look at it. So it's a nice way that you can sort of save your code, but just like turn it off. Now the reason why I've done that is because I sort of want to clear my head and model some different data now. So now I'm thinking not about coffee, I'm thinking about pets. So I don't know. What do we want to know about pets, guys? I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, those are good. I like that. I'm just sort of thinking, like, if I'm going to rent a pet for a couple of hours, am I picky about the color? Do I care about that? I probably care if it's like a bobcat or a gerbil. So, yeah, breed for sure. Yeah, sure, let's throw color in there too. So, okay, you guys tell me. If I want to know the breed, or maybe it's the species of this animal, what kind of primitive is that going to be? In our data types, if I need to remember that this is a gerbil, what primitive data type is that probably going to be? Would it be a number? Not likely, right? Would it be a Boolean, like true or false? So it's a string. Yeah, if it's not those other ones, then it's got to be a string. So let's say var pet species equals gerbil. Okay, that's cool. Now, somebody also mentioned color. Do we want Canadian or American spelling? American, all right. Let's say he's a brown gerbil, something like that. I don't know. What else?
Life expectancy, I guess. They're small animals.
Yeah, like I don't want one that's getting near its expiry date here. So sure, let's do it. Let's say
Java doesn't have a problem with the spelling.
this might be a number, right? We could do it based in days or years or or whatever. Let's say it's like 2 years.
Java doesn't have a problem with the spelling, either if it is Canadian or American.
No, it doesn't care, but CSS does. CSS makes you use the American spelling. So if you want to change your background color or something, you got to do it American. Anything else, guys? To me, I'm not feeling it yet. All I know is there's a brown gerbil who's going to die in 2 years. Do size is good? Size is good. Oh, but you know what? How do we want to think about size? Are we talking about pounds or are we talking about, physical dimensions? Like, that's a little tricky. So I want to show you our next little trick here, because that one's not so easy to do with a primitive. If I'm thinking about, the size of this thing, then I probably want to know a few things to describe that. I want to know, like, what the weight is. Maybe I want to know width, height, length. Basically, the box I would put this pet in to carry them, something like that. So let me show you another type that we have available to us. It's a little bit more descriptive than the array. When we made our array, by making the square brackets there, it's good. It works really well. And it's nice that it keeps track of how many items are in it and some things like that. But it's not very descriptive, is it? You just put those items in there. And those items don't really have any kind of descriptions. So this leads us to our other type of collection, which is called an object. I want to show you how to make an object. It looks like this. So I'm going to make a variable called pet size equals. Now this time, instead of square brackets like an array, curly braces. I'm pretty sure in regular typing you never used a curly brace, but in code we use them all the time. Sometimes people call these mustaches, right? Because if you look at it sideways, it's like a little mustache. So you're going to need 2 of those. And I'm going to put a little note for myself. Making an object. Now when we put our items into the array, each one of them got a number. So we can get out the first one or the last one, or we can choose any of those numbers to get the item out. But what if we don't want to get it out based on a number? In this case, we want to know, for instance, maybe we want to know, like, how fat is this pet? How much does he actually physically weigh? Can I even carry this thing? I don't know. So with an object, you put the data in a little bit differently. You do it like this. Now what's nice with an object is that I can put in as many things as I want into here. Man, how long is a gerbil? Anybody know? 4 inches, maybe? Is he 4 inches long? I mean, depending on what's important to us, we can get pretty specific in here. Like if I wanted to, I could say the tail length is like, 2 centimeters. I don't know. I don't know. I never had a gerbil. I'm sorry, guys. You can probably see already that these objects are very, very useful to us. Let's do a couple of console logs, and I can show you how do we get this information now about our gerbil. So ultimately, this stuff would be coming from like a database or something like Firebase, like we very quickly looked at. But try this. Console log. Your pet weighs. And then we're going to look into our pet size object and say dot weight. You see my console there? Your pet weighs 0.2 pounds right there. So let's compare it. Let's compare that array and this new object that we made. Our array, well, what did we do? We used square brackets and we put a number in the square brackets. So, that's kind of us going up to the deli counter with our number, handing it over, and then they give us what we need. Pretty simple. But objects are more powerful because we can describe what we want instead of just using a number. So for us human beings, it makes more sense. It's a lot easier to look at. And the other thing that makes this really flexible is that we can put an unlimited number of things inside of this object. The way it works is this. This little string on the left is called the key, and the thing on the right is called the value. To get any value out, we use the key for the object. Okay? So try this. Change that to like length. And see if you can get the length of your pet.
Sorry, I'm just having issues for the elements, I guess, on the page. I'm getting different information than you're getting.
Okay.
Wondering if I have something differently.
Okay. Pop it in the chat.
No. I think it's addition. I just have a wrong setting or something. Because I'm supposed to be on console, right?
Console. Yeah.
So how do I open? But this is the only thing that pops up.
Click on logging. There we go. What is this, Firefox? Okay.
I guess so.
So Firefox is giving you some filters here.
Okay.
Now, because you're using console.log,
Yeah.
you'll see them in the logging tab.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Because you can also use the console to send warnings and things like that.
Okay.
Was anybody able to get the length of the pet?
Well, it would say your pet weighs 4 inches.
Yeah,
We didn't.
exactly. So then you'd probably want to update this area here to say your pet is this long, type of thing. But you get how the object works, right? So would you agree that the object is maybe a little more flexible, a little more powerful than the array? Because it lets us decide what's important. Whereas the array, this is looking pretty good. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh man, we are totally out of time. That sucks. Oh, nuts. We had two requests in here. Let me do a real quick check here. Let's see what's happening for Kita. This looks good, Kita. Wait, oh, Kita, yeah. Yeah, I think you're okay there. Let me quickly check Lauren Park. Oh, okay, Lauren. Where's Lauren? Oh, Lauren. So if I click the little red thing, it might give me a hint. Let's see. Oh, I think it's okay. It's just not liking this down here because it's not finished yet. So let's take that one out of there. And then I think you are in pretty good shape. So no errors. I think you just have a little more work to do. But otherwise it's looking good. So here's the thing, Lauren. Everything that I've done today stays in here forever. So later on, if you log into Leaflet and you click on the link, you can see everything we did today. And everything I've said and done is on the stream as well. So if you didn't quite get it finished, then you can probably get it done. Let's quickly save that. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. But before you, sorry, let me wind it up. Before you go, I want to show you the project that we will ultimately build together. Sounds good? Today, we made a little start. You just close some of these. And I want to show you what I made with the last group of INM 220. And I've got it in CodePen. I've also got, like all of theirs is also online, which is nice because you can see what the previous group did. So let me go into my pens very quickly here. So I don't want to make anybody miss their bus or anything. Yeah, here we go. So, let me go into full view here so you can see everything. So we basically made a crowdfunding application, similar to like a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo or something like that. This is obviously further along than what we did today. But next week, we'll get a start on this. We'll start with the data, because the data is really interesting on this. We're going to data model backers, people who are pledging money to whatever the thing is. We're going to data model pledges. If you can probably already think of some of the things we need to know about that, right? It's going to be things like, well, how much money did they pledge? What day did they pledge it? What rewards do they qualify because they pledged this much money, type of thing. For the backers themselves, well, what would we need to know? We probably need to know things like, well, you said it right away, their email address. Probably need to know that, right? So we can communicate or send them their prizes or whatever. We're going to probably need to know their name. Who knows what else, right? So we will start modeling that out. Now, over time, we'll learn how to take those data models and make them show up on the screen here. And as we're doing that, we'll learn more tricks about styling and making it look nice and modern, how to make it responsive, so it doesn't break on mobile phones and that kind of thing. But this is a pretty sweet piece of work. Let me show you what happens here. So it's saying that I'm logged in as Dave. And if I go down here, Dave is at the pledge level of bucket. So in this project, while we were working on this, I have a client called Oxfam, or one of my clients has a client called Oxfam. And they help communities like recover from disaster and so forth. So these are areas where something like simple things like a bucket or a bicycle or something can, make a big impact. And people are able to go on there and pledge, and from those funds, they send buckets and supplies and things like that that people need to make fresh drinking water and so forth. So I'm logged in as Dave right here, and Dave's going to make a pledge. So he's going to click on here, and he's going to pledge another $20. Now there's a few things going on there, right? Like you see when I clicked, it now knows automatically that I'm able to pledge. If I didn't click on anything, it's not going to let me submit. Makes sense, right? This is called validation of the thing. So I'll show you how to do that. Now if I submit, Dave is still at the pledge level of bucket, but do you see how his total went up to $40? Let me do it again. So Dave's like, I have some more money. I'm going to pledge another $58. Now watch him carefully. When I submit, boom! It now knows that he pledged a total of 140, and his sponsorship is now like the bicycle level, right? So I was pretty proud of this because this was like a class project that we were working on, and everybody made their version of this, but we do it all together. But I actually pitched this to the agency that handles Oxfam, and they could not tell that was a class project. They're like, this is really cool. They had never thought of doing this. And, so for me, a lot of my business comes from doing things like that. I was doing another project for them, but since I have their attention, if I can, I'll show them something like this. They don't need to know it's just a thing in CodePen, So when Oxfam comes to them for an idea next time, they may very well say, hey, why don't you do this? And if they do, that's another contract for me. Opportunities. It's good, right? So we're going to build something like this together. Today was our first little steps. You may be doubtful right now, because this is pretty far from what we did today. But you'll see. We'll get there piece by piece. Yeah?
I just wanted to make sure, since we already submitted the URL, all we have to do is save, and then it's just going to update?
Yes. Genius, is it not? Yeah. So you see what I'm saying, though, right? Like, it's important to participate in the classes. Because otherwise, 2 days from now, that input area for your pen will disappear. It will be gone. So anybody who misses that will never be able to submit that. But you guys are fine. You guys have done it already. But if somebody wasn't here and is a friend of yours, you let them know. Because they might not be expecting that. How do you feel about this approach? It was a little hectic at first because we had to make those CodePen login and stuff like that. Next time will be a lot smoother because now you've got your accounts already set up and we'll be able to get rocking like right away. Very good, very good. It's a pleasure to meet you guys. I'll look forward to the next one. Questions?
So mine, I have the pet thing here already.
Yeah.
But when I click on link in the this, it's only shows the copy. So it's like
Is
not
your
something-
pen saved?
Yeah, it is saved.
Click the save. Okay, cool. And then back in here, might need to just refresh the page. This part is not real time.
I don't know, I refreshed like a couple times. It's not updated.
Then let me double check something. So this is the one? Yeah. We'd better double check that this is the same as that. Do, do, do. Oh, what am I in? Firefox. Ah. I only use that one once in a while. Where is my inspector? Okay. Ah, here we go. So it's saying that this is the link that I have. So let me copy that. Let me just double check something. There, that's what I'm after. So let's bring this up in a tab and just compare if it's the same pen ID. KAZEBQ. Yeah, this one is different. So this is a different pen. Yeah. So did you hit the fork by any chance? Or did you save it, did you submit first and then save maybe? Something like that?
No, I saved it and submitted it. But I think I clicked forward. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. So be careful about that one. But that's no problem, because all you have to do, let's copy this. And over here, you can put a little comment in here just to let me know, like, oh, sorry, Jim. That was such a good class. But this is my real link for real.
Do we need to put in a new link?
Oh, and then a smiley
No,
face.
just I like, I press
Right.
shit. So.
So I'll get a notice about that, and I'll fix it in the database. Yeah, yeah.
So wait, the link that we already put in, do we have to update it?
Nope.
No, I just, like,
It'll be
press buttons
automatically
up, so-
updated. Our friend here hit the fork button, right? So the work she was doing was not in the original one she submitted. So you just gotta be careful about that. The fork just makes a copy of it. It like takes everything, makes a new copy. So you can use it to save your work in stages. But if you're doing that, then we have no way of knowing what your most recent one is. So the other thing you could do, here's a better way. So here, see how there's an edit on CodePen button here? What you could do is just update this one. So grab your actual work, copy it all, and update it in the one that you submitted. Boom, boom. You know what I mean? Okay. And now this one's all up to date. So now you're covered both ways.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a great tool.
Yep.
I like it. But it does take a little getting used to. Yeah.
Good? No, I went on forever. I actually wrote about that earlier now. So we all right here.
Sorry.
No, I was doing
Yeah.
Something we actually need to talk to you about. So the three of us, we're actually enrolled technically in your Friday class.
Oh, okay.
But we were hoping.
oh, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow,
yeah.
But we were hoping it'd be cool if we just sit in on this class.
Yeah, it should be fine because we're using the same software for managing both of them.
Exactly, yeah.
So now you've got your login, you can do it whenever.
Yeah, and then this way we have a class early in the morning, we have a class next we've had this huge gap in between, so now we get Fridays
Oh,
off.
yeah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
have this class
Oh,
in between
man.
all the time. So it's
I wish I could just do that. Be like, all you Friday guys, show up Thursday.
I know.
But it's fine. Yeah, no
Mr.
problem.
Sumit, he said he's fine with us doing this as long as you're cool with it.
Yeah, you can see like, sometimes people don't even come here, like, because you can do it online too with the way that I'm doing it. Now, I don't suggest doing that because if you're here, it's a lot easier to ask questions and
Well,
stuff.
there's no point doing that if we have class after anyways.
Yeah, the flexibility is there, so it's totally okay with me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
checking with Sumit.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Have a good day.
All right, see you guys. Yeah.
Also, today we have